Okay, so we're looking at scientific notation. Excuse me, scientific notation, which has indices in it. Okay, so scientific notations are used with very large or very small numbers, and they're written as a product. So they're written as a multiply. A product means a multiply between one number, between 1 and 10, and the second part is a power of 10. Okay, so what that means is, for instance, if I've got 3,275, okay, to get this to be a number between 1 and 10, I can only use the 3 part. So the answer is 3.275 by 10 cubed. The 10 cubed is the power of 10. And on the next few slides, I'll show you how this is calculated. But at the moment, it's a large number, and so it has a positive power, and the number is between 1 and 10. If I've got a small number, the number 4 is between 1 and 10, so it's going to be 4.736 by 10 to the minus 2. So as I said, on the next few videos, on the next few slides, I'll show you how this number here is calculated. Okay, so you have a number between 1 and 10, and a product, and a power of 10. Okay, so let's see how it's calculated. So large numbers, okay, large numbers have positive powers up here for the power of 10, and small numbers have negative numbers for the power of 10. So the index, the power, tells you how many places the decimal place has moved. Okay, so this number up here gives an indication of how many places the decimal has moved. Okay, so at this stage, just know, large numbers have positive 10 to positive powers, small numbers have negative powers. And let's see how we do it. Okay, so the original number here, just so it's very clear, was 35642.5. So that's what the number was originally. And I can only have, at the end of the day, I can only have the number 3. Okay, so what I've done is with the decimal place, I've jumped 1, 2, 3, 4. I've gone 4 places back towards between the 3 and the 5. So now I've got a number between 1 and 10, and I've gone 4 steps. So I've got times 10 to the 4. Okay, so in this next one, okay, you can see the original number is a small number, 0.000631. And so 6 is the number that's going to be between 1 and 10. Okay, so I've got a number between 1 and 10. And this time the decimal place has gone backwards, so to speak. So I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. So that now the decimal is between the 6 and the 1. I've gone 4 places. It's a small number, so it's a minus 4. Okay, so that's how we do it. So if you're going to reverse the steps, reverse back to normal numbers, when you have positive powers, the number has to get bigger, and so the decimal place moves to the right. Okay. So if I've got 4.32 by 10 to the 4, it's in scientific notation. Okay, but I want to go backwards to a normal number. So this is a positive number, so it's going to get bigger. So the decimal place has to go forward. And so I go from the decimal place, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So the decimal place had to jump over 2 spots. So you fill the spots with holes, with 0, and so the answer is 43,200. And you go opposite for negative numbers. So for instance, if I've got 2.6 by 10 to the minus 3, the minus means it's a small number, and so I've got to go 1, 2, 3. So the decimal place is there, and you fill the spaces with 0s. So that's the equivalent number. So it's the opposite for negatives. Okay, so when we're combining operations, when we're combining numbers, okay, in scientific notation, for instance, I've got 2 numbers in scientific notation that I'm going to multiply. So we've got, what you do is operate 3.65 times 5.9. So you do that as one operation, and then the 10s go as the second operation. Now, this part's the easy one. When multiplying, we don't multiply, we add. So 2 plus 4 is 6. But when I multiply those numbers, I get a number that's bigger than 10. So that means that the decimal place has to go back 1 again. So I've got a number between 1 and 10. And so I've gone back 1. So I've got to add 1 to get back to the same spot. Okay. When dividing, same thing. Put the numbers as your first. Okay, so do that as your first operation, and then divide the tens. But this time when dividing, we actually subtract the indices. But when I divide those two numbers, I get a number that's less than 1. So I've got to get the 5 back to the units column. So I've got to make a smaller number bigger. So that means I've got to use a minus power. And when I minus, I've gone one place, so I've got to add one more to the minus numbers. Okay. Now I haven't done one. I'm going to show you one just with addition. Okay, just so you know that you can do it. So if I've got 2.65 by 10 to the 7, and I'm going to add 5.1 times 10 to the 8. Okay, so for instance, if I had the weights of, not planets, but maybe asteroids, and I was going to add them together, okay? Just like terms, you can't add them when they're not the same powers of 10. Okay, just like terms. So what we have to do is we have to get them to the same power. So you can either make the 7 into an 8 or make the 8 into a 7. And I think I'm going to make the 8 into a 7 just to do it my way. So the first number is okay. Now if I'm going to make that a 7, I've got to make this number bigger. So I'm going to make that one place bigger. So now I've got that times 10 to the 7. In actual fact, I probably should have made it to the 10 to the 7s because I'm going to go to the 10 to the 8s because I'm going to go that way anyway at the end. Okay, so now I've got 2.65 plus 51. So that's going to be 53.65. Now it's by 10 to the 7. And then I'm just going to move the decimal place back again. Okay? So you can add and subtract in scientific notation, but you've got to have the same base. Okay? So just look out for that. So in actual fact, what you should do is go to the bigger number, and then you don't have to do that last step. So we'll do a second example. We'll do a subtraction. 5.26 by 10 to the 4 minus 8.1 by 10 cubed. So we'll go to the bigger number. So that's okay. So if I'm going to make that into a bigger number, I've got to make that smaller. So that's going to be 0.81 by 10 to the 4. And then I've just got to do my subtraction. I'll get my calculator, just a bit lazy. 5.26 minus 0.81. And I get 4.45, and it's times 10 to the 4. Okay, so you can add and subtract as well as multiply and divide. And that's it. Thanks.